Sometime in the back half of April, that is when one political scientist predicts Albertans will be going to the polls to choose the next government. The person in control, of course, of when we vote is Premier Rachel Notley. Mount Royal University political scientist Lori Williams, though, says there are strategic reasons for the NDP to hold the election in the second half of April.
A couple of days ago, I was pretty sure to be throne speech, election call, probably April 16th for the election. But now we're hearing this news about new legislation to preserve public health care. And that being the case makes me think, well, maybe they're going to actually introduce some legislation. So throne speech, at least introduce, maybe even pass some bills, and then call the election. I still think it's going to be in April. I think there are a number of reasons within the election period why April works best for the government. April probably has a little bit of advantage just in terms of where the base for the NDP is. Those students that are at, rural students, let's say, that are at school in urban centres can make a bigger difference in those urban centres than they can in rural settings. So that might be one of the things that they're thinking about, because of course they're very popular, or more popular, I would say, amongst young people. I mean, we have candidates, former students and current students at my university that are running in the election. A lot of them are interested in voting in the election, so that could be a factor that they're considering as well.
To get back to the legislation you're talking about, the healthcare reform legislation, which is the only one that's been talked about right now, do you think it's a ruse, or do you think it's a legitimate piece of law that's going to be developed?
I wouldn't say a ruse. I think it might be one of two things. They're actually going to introduce the bill and then call the election, maybe introduce past the bill and call the election. That's a possibility. I think it's going to be more or less a statement of their vision, of their intention. It's one of the things they want to run on. We're going to preserve public health care. So I think the throne speech will focus on, it'll be a little bit of, these are the things we've accomplished. These are the things we've invested in, diversified the economy, invested in green energy. We heard there's a new homeless shelter opening in Red Deer, etc. Those are the kinds of things they're going to talk about in the throne speech, and that will be probably a bigger sense of their vision for the future, what the platform they want to run on, if you like. And then sometime relatively shortly after that, I think we're going to see the election call.
We will have to wait and see what happens after the throne speech on Monday. In Calgary for City News, I'm Ted Henley.